Okay, I just want to start by going over the agenda. Welcome and introductions is what we're doing right now. And then we're going to talk about energy balance. What is it? What's involved in that? Probably won't take a whole 15 minutes. Then we're going to look at the body mass index and talk a little bit about why and how to use it, and then why we use it, why it's a tool that is used in determining health. We'll take a brief stretch break, and then we're going to talk about portions. And in terms of with your Judy, with your counting calories, you'd probably be able to help us with this one. But portions are very interesting to look at. What was it in the past? What is it now? And how does that, when we look at energy in and energy out, how does that balance? And then we'll talk a little bit more about fitting in daily physical activity, and then if tips that we might want to try to eat well and move more, and then go on to wrapping up and be done for this week. So first, let's talk a little bit about energy balance. And so last week I handed out those tip sheets. Some were about energy in and some were about energy out. Did anyone use any of the tips or add any of the tips from that tip sheet to your, I'm kind of thinking Zach or Sierra, I know you were there last week. Monica, were you there here last, or not last week, 2 weeks ago?
No.
No, okay. So did you add any? Oh, did we have a new person come in too?
Me, Sunny, I was here 2 weeks ago.
Okay, good. So your name is Sony?
Sunny.
Sunny. Oh, that's right, Sunny. Sorry. Okay, so Sunny or Alex or Sierra, did you do any of the tips from that those tip sheets, those handouts?
Some of the stuff we were already doing, like trying to do healthier snacks instead of ones that, or doing healthier snacks that have more nutrition in them than something that doesn't. Like if we wanted something sweet, an apple instead of chocolate. Trying to do that. There was Valentine's.
Yeah, well, Valentine's Day was in between this 2 weeks, so it makes it a little harder some days than others. Sunny, anything that you tried that you want to share?
I'm not going to the grocery store hungry.
Oh, that's a good one.
Did that help a lot?
Well, no, there was still stuff I wanted. I didn't get it.
But did you resist? You resisted. That's great. Okay. Well, so we're going to talk about energy balance and body mass index, or another word for body mass index is BMI. We're going to talk about what they are and why they're important to maintaining a healthy weight. So have any of you ever heard the term energy balance before? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yes.
Yes.
Or you can figure out what it means, yeah. Energy, and you probably have, because energy balance is really the key to maintaining a healthy weight. So think about a scale. You don't have to imagine it, because I have a picture of one in front of you. We call one side energy in, or in this instance, calories in, and the other side is energy out, or calories out.
You too.
Are you guys, am I missing something about this one?
The child in the corner farted.
Oh, energy out. All right.
Yeah.
So obviously, energy in is the calories that we need, or the energy that we get so that we can function and we can do everyday kinds of things, that we can breathe, that we can live. And energy out is the things that burn calories, like the breathing. So we have the foods and we have the physical activity. Energy in is the food, energy out is the physical activity. The problem with calorie balance, or when it becomes a problem, is when we don't take enough calories in order to function the way we want to, which is calories out. Then we have listlessness or fatigue or wasting away, failure to thrive, those kinds of things. The other time when this is a problem is when you have more calories in and less calories out, and what happens then?
Gain weight.
Yeah, you store those calories, those excess calories on your body. And this is wonderful in terms of extra insulation on your body when it's cold outside, but not so wonderful in terms of our health overall. So we want to look at maintaining our energy balance. And as we talked briefly about last week, there are several factors that influence our energy balance. One is behavior. And this is the amount of calories you consume and the amount of physical activity that you can get. That's something that we really have control over much of the time. Not all the time, but much of the time. The environment is another factor that affects energy balance. And this is about opportunities, about challenges around us, whether it's at home, at school, in our family situation, at work, or out in the community, that might affect the amount of calories that we take in or the amount of physical activity that we do. So an example of this might be, I was talking to people down in Glen Allen in the Copper Center area. They were saying that even though they have some walking paths outside in the Copper Center area, going out and walking on a regular basis may not happen, not because of the weather, but because of the wildlife. And so you can't send your kids out to play or out to run to the neighbor's house, which would be a great physical activity, especially if they're not too far away, because they are aware of bears in the area or moose in the area that could be a problem. So that would be an environmental challenge. But it could also be something like community-wise. Maybe your church or maybe in the community you have public gatherings, and oftentimes public gatherings are around food. We have potlucks, and usually potlucks are when people are showing off their skills, or if they're not eating chocolate, they might bring something chocolate to the potluck so they can have a little piece of it. But there's all these wonderful, delicious goodies that are tempting us. So potlucks could be, community potlucks could be a challenge, and that is part of our environment to counting our calories or to getting healthy calories in our diet. Another factor that affects our energy balance is genetics. And this is because heredity does play a role in determining weight. And what your genes are can affect how your body stores fat, where your body stores fat, and also how your body burns calories for energy. You can't change your genes, but your behavior and your environment can be changed. One thing to keep in mind, let's go back, we're not quite ready for this yet, is that you don't need to exactly balance your calories in and your calories out every day. What you need to think about is over time in terms of balancing your calories. So maintaining your energy balance is rather like maintaining a budget, a financial budget. If you know you've eaten more calories than you've budgeted for one day, then the next day you can eat fewer calories, or you can get more physical activity to balance that amount out. So it's like your budget. If you spend more dollars in one day, then you have fewer dollars to spend the rest of the month. So, or the next day, whatever, however you decide to balance your budget. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about staying on your budget, your calorie budget, or your financial budget, although that's a whole other class. So in the next couple of sessions, because we're going to meet 2 more times, we'll also explore ways to balance your energy to help maintain your weight. So we're going to look at a couple of situations that might help you balance your lifestyle energy budget. For example, if you know you're going to a party and you may eat more high-calorie foods than you normally would, then you can eat fewer calories for a few days before you go to that party. So that's one way where you're being proactive in balancing that budget. Or another option would be increasing your physical activity for a few days before the party or even after the party, so you burn off those extra calories or that extra energy. And this idea applies to children as well. If they're going to a birthday party and you know they're going to be eating cake and ice cream and other high-calorie foods, you can help them balance those calories the days before and after the party. And really what you're doing there is setting up good modeling behavior for their future. Can you think of any situations in which this idea might come in handy?
Holidays.
Holidays. And there are a lot of holidays, and a lot of our holidays are around food. We just had Valentine's Day. The candy manufacturers have taken advantage of that holiday to promote chocolates or gourmet chocolates or other kinds of sweets. Easter is coming up. That's another one where you might have family favorite dishes, and that tend to be more calorie laden, and or sweets around that particular holiday as well. Other ideas or situations? Sometimes if you're ill and you cannot do, maybe you've fallen and you have broken or sprained something, so you can't do as much physical activity, or if you are ill in terms of the flu and there's a couple of days where you can't eat, well, that one might balance itself out because you don't feel like eating, you don't feel like doing much physical activity. But sometimes when you're ill or not able to do something, maybe you are eating but not doing as much physical activity as you usually do. And it is not a good idea to over-exercise or over-exert yourself when you are not feeling 100% or when you really are sick. So then when you feel better, you can balance out those exercise, energy in and energy out by doing more physical activity when you get well. I think you were talking a little bit about that, Zach, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, last week. Okay. Okay, so those are special occasions or things that happen occasionally, but hopefully not all the time. I'm talking about falling ill. But the same principle applies on everyday life. If your energy in is higher than your energy out, you're going to gain weight. So to get back into energy balance, you have to reduce your energy in and increase your energy out, or do both at the same time if you're looking to actually lose weight and not just maintain weight. And so what's important to remember that is even small changes are important. So just eating 100 fewer calories a day can lead 150 fewer calories a day can lead to a loss of 5 pounds in 6 months. That's if your activity level is status quo and you just eat 150 less calories every day. It makes a difference over 6 months if you're consistent with doing that. You can lose 5 pounds, or over a year you can lose 10 pounds. Also, so how do you save 150 calories? Switching from a 12-ounce regular soda to water, or choose a small-sized French fries instead of a medium-sized French fries. Those aren't huge changes, but they are, well, I say that, but maybe you love soda and that's really hard for you to give up. So that might be hard for you. But maybe then you go with the French, well, I'm using French fries as an example. You know what you're eating, so you can choose however it is that you want to give up those, where you can give up those 150 calories. Or the other thing that you can do is go for a brisk 30-minute walk. 30 minutes of walking at a brisk pace is 170 calories for approximately a 150-pound person. Or think of doing both. That gives you a deficit of 300 calories from what in and calories out. So you can lose more weight in a shorter period of time. Okay, so I have an activity for you to help think about this relationship of energy in and energy out. So I have two examples here. And actually, one of them is a little on the healthier side, and one's not so healthy. But regardless of what we're eating, whether it's healthy or not healthy, or not as healthy, I should say, in other words, not getting as many nutrients, not as nutrient dense, we still have calories in the food that we take in. So if we ate a cup of cereal in the morning, and this is a whole grain cereal, maybe it's oatmeal, maybe it's granola, maybe it's something else, a fat-free, drank 1 cup of fat-free milk, and ate a banana, the total calories for that meal would be 306 calories. Okay? So if you choose to eat that then you need to do some physical kind of activity in order to balance that. Can you see this okay? I had to take a picture of what was in the book because I wasn't able to get you handouts. This is examples of moderate amounts of physical activity. So if you do common chores like washing and waxing a car for about an hour, washing windows or floors for about an hour, gardening for 30 to 45 minutes. Can you see my cursor as I'm moving it down? Oops. If you're in a chair, wheeling yourself around for 30 minutes, pushing a stroller 1.5 miles in 30 minutes, raking leaves for 30 minutes. So we're going for less vigorous, common things you have to do more time. If you're going to do more vigorous things, like shoveling snow, then you can do that for a less amount of time. So as we get down to the bottom, we have more vigorous kinds of activities, such as, sorry about that, shoveling snow for 15 minutes or stair walking for 15 minutes are kind of common activities, and each of these activities would burn about 150 calories. And looking on the other side of this page at the sporting activities, playing volleyball for 45 minutes to an hour would burn about 150 calories. Playing touch football for about 45 minutes. Walking 1.75 miles in 35 minutes. That's about a 20-minute mile. Shooting baskets for 30 minutes. Bicycling for 5 miles in 30 minutes. Dancing fast for 30 minutes. Water aerobics for 30 minutes. Swimming laps for 20 minutes. Bicycling 4 miles in 15 minutes. Jumping rope for 15 minutes. That always gets my heart going very fast. So all these activities for this amount of time would burn 150 calories. So if we go back to the previous slide, if you had 306 calories to burn, what activities would you choose to do to burn those 306 calories?
Shoveling snow.
Who said that?
The dog.
Who said that?
Snow removal and dog walking.
Monica, snow removal and dog walking? Okay. And how long would you, see, shoveling snow? All right, for 15 minutes and dog walking for, that would, if your dog is like mine, you're walking pretty fast. So it might be the walking 2 miles in 30 minutes. Okay. So that would give you, that would wear off that 306 calories. Anyone else make different choices?
You do the bike, Zach.
Yeah.
Count on that.
Bicycle and
Riding
run.
Okay. Would you do the 4 miles in 15 minutes?
Oh, probably. I mean, it's just a
Bicycling,
stationary
yeah.
bike right now.
Yeah. So bicycling 4 miles in 15 minutes, you know, if it's on a stationary bike, that would be take care of 150 calories, or go a half an hour, that would take care of all 300 calories. So this is just getting you thinking about what you might do to burn those calories. So let's go back. The other part of this was having a piece of chocolate cake. Maybe you're invited to a birthday party, or it's your birthday party. And this is an 8-inch layer cake. And then having a cup of vanilla ice cream with that, that would total 532 calories. So if you had to burn off if you had that energy in and you wanted to burn off 530 calories to match that, what would you choose in terms of your activities? Somebody who hasn't answered, so I heard from Sierra, Zach, and Monica. Somebody else, give me an example of an activity that you might choose for burning off those 530 calories.
I did water fitness today for an hour and walking, so I could have cake, I guess.
You could have burned that off. Okay.
Good.
Anybody else?
I was on the treadmill for an hour.
All right. We don't have the treadmill here, but did that say how many calories you burned with your treadmill?
Like 450.
You didn't make it a cake.
Okay, 450, so you're almost there. Okay. Well, thank you for going along with me on this. So just another recap of this is that in 30 minutes, if you were just to do a leisurely walk, you would burn 85 calories. If you were walking briskly, 170 calories. Gardening for 30 minutes burns about 135 calories. Raking leaves, another 145 calories for 30 minutes. Dancing for 30 minutes tends to be more vigorous, so 190 calories. Bicycling at 10 miles per hour, 205. Swimming laps might be, I don't know how that compares to your water aerobics, but 240 calories in 30 minutes. And jogging, 5 miles per hour, 275 calories. Now, note these calorie amounts are based on a person who's 150 pounds. If you weigh less, then you would burn fewer calories in that same amount of time. But if you're a heavier person, you would burn more calories in that same amount of time. Okay? So, does anyone know what body mass index is?
Yep.
Can you explain it, or what would you say?
It is a number given based on your height and weight that helps determine. I believe it's a ratio between your height and weight. It helps determine where you are, whether you're underweight, normal, like you have on the graph here, overweight or obese. And it's more of a reference than a hard rule because it is based on height and weight and not body composition.
Right. So there's certain individuals who this won't be accurate for. If you are extremely muscular, muscle weighs more than body fat, so this is not an accurate determination. If you are extremely muscular, if you're very tall or very short as an adult, then this might not classify you exactly correctly. But overall, BMI is a good indication of healthy weight for the majority of the population, but not for everyone. And this does not count, you cannot use this chart for children. This is only for people who are 18 or over. So let's look at the screen. So suppose, can you see it pretty clearly, or are the numbers too fuzzy?
They go in and out.
Okay, well, hopefully we can do this. If not, then I'll tell you what they are. So if Dan weighs 218 pounds,
For now.
and he's 5 feet 9 inches tall, where does he fit on this particular screen?
218 pounds?
218 pounds, and he's 5'9".
So he's probably got a body mass index of 30 and a half.
Yeah, and you would round it, usually you round down, but 30, yeah, he would be in between 30.1 and 30.6, so around 30 is where his
He's
body mass
obese.
index. Yeah, he would
According
be
to
in
the chart.
the blue side on this chart. Okay, now let's look at Susie. She weighs 134 pounds, and she is 5 feet 4 inches tall. Where would she fit?
She's in normal.
Right, her BMI is about 23.
Yeah,
So
you
she's
can't read. The green's hard.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I wanted a colorful slide, but I didn't think about how the colors were going to come through on your end. But the point of this is that if you know your height and weight, it's pretty easy to use the chart, and these charts are all over the internet, and figure out what your BMI is. Or if you don't know what your height is, have your healthcare provider measure you the next time that you go in to have an appointment. You can also do it at home, but height is a little bit tricky because you have to stand with your wall that doesn't have any, or a door that doesn't have any of those things down at the bottom. I forget what they're called, but they tend to come out. So your heels have to go all the way back against the wall, and your body has to be straight, and your shoulders should be back against the wall with your head tilted so that your nose and your ear, the tip of your nose and the bottom of your ear are parallel. So it's good if you're going to have somebody measure your height to have them, and then they put a stick across or top of your head so that it's parallel to the floor to get your exact measurement. So it's very difficult to do it on yourself. It's best if you have a partner to help you with the height if you're going to do that. And weight's a little bit, use a scale, preferably an accurate scale to get your weight. But the point of this is that if you're above a healthy weight, or if you're in that category, in this instance it would be the green, if you're in that normal weight zone, which goes from a BMI of 18.5 to 24.9, and if you're in this weight zone, you want to just try and stay in that weight zone, not going above or not going below. If you are over a BMI of 25, the thing with this is that this and other risk factors are risk factors for heart disease. This is one of the risk factors for heart disease. And if you have a BMI of 30 or greater, you really need to consider seeing your healthcare provider, which you probably already have, and figure out the best way for you to lose weight. And that's what we're talking about. So some of the information that we're giving you may also be helpful in that. And it's all about heart disease, and it's also a risk factor in other diseases such as cancer, diabetes, and other diseases as well. Okay, we talked about BMI charts for children are different, and boys and girls do grow at different rates, so there are also gender-specific charts for children. Okay, it is time to take a stretch break. As I mentioned earlier, small changes in your lifestyle do add up. So switching from that medium to a small serving of French fries is one example. And then another one might be choosing fries, if you're a fries person, less often, and maybe substituting an apple or a banana or some kind of healthy snack, food, a food that doesn't have as many calories for the amount of nutrients. That would be a nutrient-dense food instead of calorie-dense food would be helpful. Small changes work for physical activities too, and that might mean if you're not a physical activity person that you add physical activity in little bits and spurts during your day. And that might be when you're watching television, you stand up and do some stretches or some maybe walk in place. It might be when you're at the computer, you stand up and do some stretches. But right now I'd like everyone to stand up. Come on, stand up. You've been sitting a long time. Okay, you take it off of presentation so I can see you. All right. do is, I don't know if you can see my legs or not. We're going to do a leg exercise right now. That is not, okay, what you're going to do is balance yourself on two legs and then shift your weight to your left leg. Make sure your knee is soft. You don't want to lock it in place. Make your knee soft. And you're going to lift your right leg up off the floor just a couple of inches. Hold it for a count of 3 and then down to 3. Shift your weight to your other leg. And we're going to lift our left leg up, 2, 3, nice and slow. Hold, 2, 3, down, 2, 3. And if you need help with balancing, hold on to the chair in front of you. Probably not a great idea to hold on to the person next to you. Might affect their balance. Okay, let's do it again. Up, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, down, 2, 3. Left leg, up, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, down, 2, 3. Oh, one thing I forgot to remind you to do is to tighten your core, and that's your abdominal area. So think about pulling your belly button back towards your back, okay? You're tightening your core as you do this. So let's lift our leg again, up, 2, 3, right leg up, hold, 2, 3, down, 2, 3. Switch, left, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, down, 2, 3. Then you can go lifting your leg, and this is really important. Did anyone feel that at all?
Yeah, if you lift them to the side, it's not a common motion in like everyday, a sedentary lifestyle. Usually your legs just go from the back.
It is, and it's a good idea to keep your body as straight as possible when you're doing this, because if you bend over to the side as you're doing it, and I did see that, you're actually using your body as a fulcrum to lift your leg, and we don't want to do that. What we're doing with this exercise is working on our adductor muscles on the side of our leg to make it, to help with the lifting. And as Zach was saying, these are not common muscles, and this helps when we actually do an exercise that strengthens them. That helps us to them to work better for us for a longer period of time. Another thing you can do is lift your leg to the back. Again, tightening your core before you begin, and making sure that you stand upright. Pretend you have a string out at the top of your head that's keeping you up. Hold on to the chair in front of you if you need it for balance, and lift your leg back. Not very far off the floor, just a couple of inches. And then hold it down, 2, 3. Shift to your left leg, back, 2, 3, pause, 2, 3, forward, 2, 3. Let's do it 2 more times. Right leg, back, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, forward, 2, 3. Shift to your left, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, down, 2, 3. Okay? So I'll give you about 3 minutes. Use the restroom, get a drink of water, move around a little bit, and we'll come back and talk about portion size.
Portion.
They do. So if I wanted to learn how to fly,
If you want to get serious into it, or if you just want to go out
once or twice. Just because I want to learn. I've never done it before. I've never been climbing.
your feet are too big, maybe you could fit in Sean's boots. These are your daily
Well, that's my hiking boots.
Or you need boots that we can fit good crampons on.
They're Merrell's. I don't know.
I don't think so. They need to have a ridge in the front,
So
so the bar goes in the ridge.
Okay.
But we can see if you fit in Sean's boots.
Yeah. I might fit it. These are men's, 9.5, I think.
Yeah.
Got this little guy.
Yeah. So if you fit in his boots, you can borrow our crampons and use our cables.
We're going to watch you guys.
Yeah. You had a harness. It would be nice, but we can switch out harnesses too. So we don't really need anything, just wear clothes.
Yeah, I got that. Just because I think it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least once or twice.
Yeah. So you only got, you said,
Well, we're still waiting to find out where we're going, and we're supposed to be at the next place by July, and Zari's got a month of leave saved up. So we'll probably leave like either end of May, like latest mid-June. We're not sure yet. Depends on where we're going, because if we go to like Guam, then we'll just like fly over, we'll ship our stuff. But if we go to Connecticut, we can leave early so we can drive over there. Wow.
Sheesh.
I'm excited though. It'll be fun.
What are your days off?
I'm not working, so I'm always off.
Well,
For now, anyways.
I could take you on a date. Like, yeah.
And you guys usually go to Valdez Glacier?
No, there's better stuff. Valdez Glacier is not very easy.
Where do you guys go usually?
Well, there's one waterfall up in Keystone Canyon that has a rock rope that's easy to get to, but I'm just learning how to climb, so I don't know. So this way you can hike to the top, put a rope down, and then be good. Like I could do it just 2 of us.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I've never done it. I've seen people do it, and I've like taken pictures of them before, but I've always been afraid like how they get the rope up there, and I know they have to put the screws in, so usually you want to go to this where somebody else has been before, right?
Yeah, yeah, because that's leading. You're putting screws in and all that, and
That'd be scary.
yeah. You have to be solid, like, you really shouldn't be falling. But once you have a rope under you fall off. So,
Their activity.
that one waterfall had a big crack in it, and that's why we've been staying away from it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And it's actually you might say but you can't because of your shoulder.
I know, I'm gonna have a big week this week because I've been saving up.
I think I'm never I can do it. I think I have to work on like my arm muscles more and my leg muscles.
It's more technique than anything. I mean,
Weighted heavy.
not very good. But it is, like when I first started, first started, I thought you could move around like you could rock climbing, and it's totally different. It's completely different. Just like, rock climbing is all about center balance, and ice climbing it is too, but it's different.
You have to balance more.
Climb a ladder? You want to keep your weight on your knees, which is the same for climbing too, but
Yes.
like, you want to reach further than you.
I was kind of disappointed.
Because you want to try and get your maximum reach, so you're like trying to hit something way up there and it's leaning on it.
Yeah, I know.
It's all about like where your feet are. Yeah.
Or at least do a couple kind
My team are like animals,
of
so
even good.
they work out like 4 hours.
I think
a
it's
day.
one of those things that takes a while to get good at. So, because there's so much that goes into it.
I have to get
Way more
like I
trying to
had to
rock
do
climbing is like
that.
between the ice
2 hours is plenty a day for me.
Like one day it might be cold and the ice is brittle and it's hard,
So,
and the next day
The weight loss points
warm.
was
and you can sink your tools and it's easy. So it's
got
like
me up to where they're at.
One day
They
and
had like
the next.
211. Holy cow.
That's why leaning ice is.
And that's like
a
pretty
pretty advanced skill. They're gonna take notes.
That's still good. Think about it.
No,
Yeah. 21 days. What team are you?
Portion size, I have a hard time.
I team I'm not good at count my calories.
You got my fitness planner.
My husband's on our team, but
I think I have that.
And
He's
you can,
doing
like,
okay,
scan
but
in and say you had 3 pepperoncinis or whatever, and you can scan in a jar. You know, like the hot peppers.
Oh, okay.
Pepperoncini.
I'm hoping the people above me
Nobody
like
else?
kind of
Peppers, yeah.
like they weigh
I'm not
in heavy.
The only thing is,
Yeah,
I
weigh in
eat
heavy,
like
so
half an apple or
shedding
half
the
a
foods or
banana.
whatever else they
Like,
want.
like, hey, hi everybody.
Yeah.
And Ashley's all like, how do I
Because I didn't do that.
They have serving size.
Hello.
I guess I'll start weighing.
Hello.
Measuring
I'm
it.
glad everyone is talking so well together. There's a new person in the back of the room, and so would you tell us your name, please?
Jean Rasmussen.
Hi, Jean. Nice to have you here. Is there a sign-up sheet outside of the classroom?
Yes.
Do you guys?
Yes.
There is? Okay, good. So I just wanted to make sure, because don't you get credit for the Healthier You program by attending?
Yes.
All right, so as long as there's a sign-up sheet, then that's great. Okay, so the next part of this is we're going to talk about portion sizes. And so we've talked about BMI and the need to maintain energy balance to stay at a healthy weight. So we're going to do an activity. We're going to look at one critical reason why energy in is a problem for a lot of people. What do you think a serving means? A serving of a food.
What do you think it's serving?
A small amount.
Isn't it like
A small amount? Okay.
That's not what it is. Meat is like a fist.
Deck of cards.
Well, a serving is actually a measured amount of a food or a drink or a beverage. So it could be 1 slice of bread, 1 cup of milk, 1 ounce of cereal. Nutrition recommendations use serving sizes to help people know how much of different types of food they get, and those are based on the nutrients typically found in those types of food, and those are to help us get the best amount of nutrients into our system that have been shown to help with our health. Okay? So for example, the My Plate recommendations for fruit is 1.5 to 2.5 cups of fruit per day. It varies a little bit depending upon your age and your activity level. And your gender actually is a factor in that as well. So the amount that you should take in is because based on your height, your weight, your activity level, these are the foods that will give you the nutrients that will help you maintain your best health. Another thing that helps you with serving sizes are those nutrition fact panels that you find on packages of food. And they will give you a serving size. It's usually at the very top of the page what the serving size is for that particular container of food, and then how many servings are in that particular container of food. The serving sizes on packaged foods, though, are not always the same as the ones that you'll find in the nutrition recommendations for the My Plate program. But they are standardized. So when you compare similar foods and you're looking at the nutrition fact label on the package, you can look at similar types of foods and the serving size should be the same. So for cereal, for example, if you're looking at, I'm going to use some brand names here, maybe you're looking at Cheerios, Rice Krispies, Kix, Life cereal, whatever, it will say serving size 1 ounce, and then it will also tell you in terms of how we measure food what that 1 ounce means, because 1 ounce is a weight measurement generally. So if you're getting granola, a 1 ounce serving may only be a 1/2 cup or 3/4 of a cup, whereas if you're getting Rice Krispies, it may be 1 cup. Cornflakes might even be 1 1/4 cups, because those are lighter cereal. Okay, so 1 ounce is a weight measurement, and when you measure it out, you will probably, if you don't have a scale at home, you may use measuring utensils to do that measuring. Okay, so the serving sizes on packages are standardized, but they're not the same as the servings for recommended nutrients, such as the My Plate does with the food groups. Okay, so we talked about servings. So if that's servings, what's a portion? Any guesses?
That is the the amount of food that is given to you at any one time, like a portion size?
Right. So the serving is then what is served to you or what you serve to yourself. Okay? Oh, I'm looking wrong. I didn't have the camera. Sorry about that. My head was probably crooked this whole time. So serving size is what is served, what is on your plate, and what you eat. That's the serving size. So, for example, if you take, and I seem to be using cereal today, but if you take cereal out of the cupboard, you get your bowl out of the cupboard, and you pour cereal into that bowl, how much you pour yourself is your portion size. But what it says on the box of cereal is the actual serving. So your portion may actually be 2 servings. Does that make sense? Or your portion, if maybe you don't like cereal, maybe it's only a half of a portion. Or a half of a, yeah, your portion may only be a half a serving. So how much you eat or how much you put on your plate is the serving size. All right. So what we're going to look at is this quiz called Portion Distortion. And it's looking at how portion sizes have changed over the past 20 years. And it's also going to look at how many calories are in that portion size and how does that relate to the physical activity that you would need to do to counterbalance to do that energy out portion of our energy in, energy out equation. So let me get the right remote here. And I think this is really interesting. So the first one is a bagel. 20 years ago, a bagel looked like the one on the, to me it's the left side of the screen. Would you say that's the left side of the screen, the smaller one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. And that would be about 3-inch diameter, 140 calories. So the bagels that we get in the grocery stores or the bakeries today are quite a bit larger. How many calories do you think are in today's bagel?
500.
500? Well, 350 calories in this 6-inch diameter bagel. So it's twice the size of what a bagel was 20 years ago. And the difference in calories is 210. So how long would you have to rake leaves in order to burn that extra 210 calories? And again, this is based on a 130-pound person.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, that'd be an hour and a half. Or
50 minutes. So not quite an hour, just under an hour. But remember, this is based on a 130-pound person, so it's a little different from the figures that we saw earlier. All right, a cheeseburger 20 years ago, and I think about when I was a kid and we would go out for a cheeseburger, and I'm thinking about McDonald's. It's not something we did very often, but every once in a while Mom would take us there. And those hamburgers then, so that hamburger would be about 330 calories. So today, the picture of the hamburger that's chosen looks like it's at least a quarter pound of meat. How many calories do you suppose are in this cheeseburger?
1,000.
700.
590 calories. So there's a difference of 257 calories. So if you were lifting weights, how long would 130-pound person have to lift weights in order to burn those calories?
Probably 100 minutes, maybe.
1 hour and 30 minutes. You were quite close. 1 hour and 30 minutes of lifting weights for a 130-pound person. So if you're heavier than that, you would burn those calories more quickly. Spaghetti and meatballs. So 20 years ago, your plate, now these look like the exact same plate, but what's the difference here?
One looks larger.
One looks larger, and partly because of the white space, they've kind of zoomed in the picture. But the point is that this plate is a larger plate. And if you think about the plates that you had 20 years ago and the plates that you have now, if you've changed them or if you've gone to the store recently, they have large plates. They're a minimum of 9 to 10 inch. Usually they're around 11 inches in diameter. To me, it's more of a serving size plate than an eating plate. So the plate on the left is 500 calories, and what's shown is 1 cup of spaghetti with sauce on that, and then 3 small meatballs. So on the right, you have, it looks like at least 2 cups, maybe 2.5 to 3 cups of spaghetti, equivalent sauce, and 3 large meatballs. What's your guess in number of calories?
You can go to 800.
1,025 calories.
I didn't know it.
Oh, it's 2 cups of pasta with sauce, and the meatballs are much larger. So it's a difference of 525 calories. You're actually, the portion size is double what the portion size was 20 years ago. And is that unrealistic?
No.
Not in my household. Okay, so when you're if you were vacuuming, cleaning the house, how long would you have to house clean in order to burn that extra 525 calories? 2 hours.
3.5 hours. Oh, 2
minutes. Time to spring clean. French fries, a small versus a large size, and they show different French fries here, but I think the point isn't that one is a skinny fry and one is a fat fry. It's the size of the container. So 20 years ago, if you'd get 2.4 ounces, it would be 210 calories. And the larger 6.9 ounce serving would be triple in calories, almost triple, 610 calories. So difference of 400 calories. To burn 400 calories at a leisurely walk, for a 160-pound person, you would have to walk 1 hour and 10 minutes. Soda, 85 calories in a 6.5 ounce soda. Can you even find 6.5 ounce sodas now?
Hardly.
I don't think so. I know that they have sometimes they have 8 ounce sodas, but you don't see them very often. So today it's more likely to be a 20 ounce soda, and that's 250 calories. We're using soda here as the example, but you can use this in any kind of beverage that's sweetened. Think about coffee drinks. I'm not sure if this slide has something on coffee drinks, but coffee drinks are very popular right now. I'm doing a heart healthy class, and one of the things that the people in my heart healthy class were talking about is their coffee fixes and how they add the flavorings, which are primarily flavored sugar, or sugars that are flavored, liquids, and cream in their coffee, because that makes it taste so good, but that adds a lot of extra calories. And they're also a much larger size than what we would have gotten 20 years ago. So if you needed to burn those 500 or 400 calories, how long would you have to work in the garden? 35 minutes to burn 165 calories. And that's a 160-pound person. A turkey sandwich, based on being on bread, would be 320 calories. On a hoagie bun or a sub kind of bun would be 820 calories. So that's 500 calories difference. You would have to ride a bike 1 hour and 25 minutes to burn those 500 calories. Okay, so basically what you're trying to do here, or what we're trying to show through this PowerPoint, is that you want to aim for a healthy weight. And if you do choose things that are a little bit more in terms of calories, to think about the activity that you're going to do in order to burn those calories, to maintain your weight, or burn more calories than the amount of calories you take in order to lose weight. And if you are interested in this particular presentation, it's at the Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. So you can go to lbi.nih.gov to get that. So that's, or put in portion distortion quiz, and I think it comes up in the search engines as well. Okay. Let's see. So, how would you control portions? Well, actually, let me summarize first. This should have given you an idea of how portion control can affect the number of calories that you take into your body. And then, of course, physical activity is the calories out. So taking in the number of portions can make a huge difference in how many, or the size of your portions can make a huge difference in the amount of calories or the amount of energy you're taking in. So what are some ways that you could burn off or would burn off those extra calories in terms of the portion sizes that you are taking in the foods that you eat?
What was the question?
You want me to rephrase the question?
Yes, what was the question?
So the question is, so what are ways that you would do that energy out thing? Kind of going back to what we did earlier when I gave you 306 calories and what activities might you use to burn those extra calories?
I would walk probably more.
Walk more?
Okay. Exercise videos.
Exercise videos? That's a very great solution in terms of weather when you can't get outside to do a lot of exercise, or animals don't let you get outside, to do things inside, and exercise videos can also give you variety. Check out the library too. I don't know what Valdez has in their library. Well, you're right there. You can easily check it out. But I know that the published library here in the Mat-Su has quite a few different exercise DVDs.
I read on my elliptical.
Okay. What about everyday kinds of activities where you might be normally sitting? Is there a way that you can add in physical activity during those more sedentary kinds of activities?
Isometrics.
Isometrics? When you're sitting at the computer, sitting in a car.
Swing your legs if you're at a desk. Do leg lifts.
Say that again?
I said if you're sitting at a desk or that, you could do leg lifts.
Oh, yeah. Sitting at a desk doing leg lifts is good.
So
Another
one
thing
thing I know I'm
figure.
going to do is I'm going to,
Uh-huh.
I know I'm going to watch videos on the internet, or I'm going to read articles, or I'm going to waste time on a computer. So now with our smartphones or not so smartphones, you can do that on a stationary bike at the gym, or you can do that on the elliptical, like she reads on the elliptical. So things that you just, I don't know, I like to take things that I'm going to do anyway and then exercise during them. It saves time.
It does. It saves time, and it also gets you moving. I think I mentioned this to you guys last time, that the research now shows that sitting for stretches of time over 3 hours, actually, even if you've been really good and you've done your exercises that day, if you sit for 3 hours or longer at a time, that detracts from the benefits of the physical activity that you've done. So it's really important to get up and get our bodies moving, even if it's just taking a commercial break and getting up and moving around, or sitting at your desk and doing some kind of activity, or stand at your desk. In fact, is anybody at the computer for long periods of time? A friend of mine, a coworker in our Anchorage office, had hip surgery. He had hip surgery, and he's supposed to get pretty consistent exercise. So he has jerry-rigged a treadmill with his board across the handlebars. Handlebars, that's not probably what they're called, but Anyway, the handle's on the treadmill. He has put a board there, and he's put his computer there, so he can work while he is, or exercise while he's working, get some more physical activity in a time when he would normally have been sedentary. So sometimes, we're Alaskans. We're very creative. We can build, anything we need. We just have to figure out what it is that we need. So the other thing I think that this portion distortion quiz shows is that portion sizes are sometimes a lot bigger than we assume. So what can we do to help us understand what size the portions are that we have on our plates?
Measure.
We can measure. And it seems really silly. I know when I do it that I'm like, oh, this is really strange that I'm measuring my food. And my husband always makes fun of me. But it really helps me to figure out so that I can visually look at my plate now and say, oh, okay, that's 1 cup of vegetables, or that's a half a cup of vegetables. Although peas are hard because they tend to spread out and they don't stack up nicely, so sometimes it's difficult to know exactly how much you have. But measuring is really important. Noodles are hard to figure out when you just scoop your noodles on. So if you take a measuring cup and you measure them out, then you'll know how many servings you're getting. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying you have to cut back. I'm saying take your measuring cup and measure it out so that you know exactly what it is. You might find that when you're doing that, you can become more aware of what your portion size is, and you do decide, oh, well, maybe I really don't need 3 cups of pasta. Maybe 2 is enough, or 2.5. And you can gradually cut back. Any other ways that you can help?
I was going to say, if you use a smaller plate, a cut doesn't get lost as much on it.
A smaller plate really helps because sometimes we find ourselves filling up what's in front of us. So a smaller plate helps. 9 inches is, measure your plate and see where it is, what size it is. Or take the lunch plate out of your cupboard instead of the dinner plate for dinner, and that can help you with your portion size as well. Any other ideas?
I make sure that I have vegetables only 3/4 of my plate, so it takes up, I don't have anything left for, meals.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe put your vegetables on your plate first and make sure it fills up a large part of it before you put other things on. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to go over today, is looking at energy in, energy out, some ideas for things you can do to either increase energy or decrease your the amount of food. We talked about portion sizes. We talked about just finding out what you're eating and cutting back even 150 calories a day by maybe exchanging something that's high fat for a piece of fruit or a vegetable might help you with that 150 calories less. Tracking, I think you mentioned earlier, Anika, that you were taking calories. No, Judy, you said that you were counting calories. And counting calories really helps you be aware of what your food is. Keeping a food log, just writing it down, even if it's been shown that that really helps people be more aware of everything that's going into their mouth, and it can help you make changes in your diet. So those are some great ideas that people have shared and are working on using. Do you have any goals that you want to set for the next 2 weeks to work on?
I know, right? Lose the weight.
Lose weight.
Or any tips that you want to try? You've talked about that you're thinking about trying?
It was,
Oh.
sorry. So I need to finish my crocheting project so I can get off my bottom end and keep exercising more.
That's true. Sometimes our hobbies are sedentary. And I mean, yes, you're using your wrists and your fingers when you're doing that, but not so much whole
Not
body.
many calories. No, but I set a deadline for myself, so I have to meet that deadline.
Good for you.
I think when you said that you have to get up every 3 hours, or because I find myself putting the kids to bed, and then I can sit down and watch TV, and I can watch whatever I want, and so that's really good to know. It's just get up, move around, because I don't want to backtrack on all the hard stuff that I did during the day and working out and stuff. So that's a tip.
I know. It really hits home when you hear that you need to be moving. So even when you're exhausted, get up and stand for a minute or something. Just do a little bit of moving. Walk in place during those advertisements if you're watching TV. Make yourself get up and turn the TV off instead of reaching for the remote. Even that little bit is energy that's being expended and going out. Anything else anybody wants to share? Okay, the next time we're meeting is 2 weeks from now. It's March 6th, same time, 4 o'clock, same location.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you very much for coming this evening.